So now the question which we will be solving on two pointers on arrays is a lead code medium level problem watering plant 2. Let's see what the question says. So the question says we have Alice and Bob who wants to water n plants in the garden. The plants are arranged in a row and are labeled from 0 to n minus 1 from left to right, where ith plant is located at x equals to I. Okay, we can see here there are plants and each plants need an amount of water. The very first plant need amount of water 2, second plant need the amount of water 2, third plant need 3 amount of water, and the fourth plant need again 3 amount of water. Now let's see next. Each plant need a specific amount of water. Alice and Bob have a watering can each initially full. They water the plant in the following way. Let's see. Alice waters the plant in order from left to right, starting from the 0th plant. Bob waters the plant in order from right to left, starting from the n minus 1th plant. They begin water plant simultaneously. That simply means Alice starts from the very first index or the 0th index, and Bob starts from the very last index. The first part is clear. Now the second part. It takes the same amount of time to water each plant regardless of how much water it needs. Okay. Alice or Bob must water the plant if they have enough water in their can to fully water it. Otherwise, they first refill their can instantaneously, then water the plant. Okay. If suddenly their capacity got less, then in that case they can refill the can and again pour the plants. Now the last part says in case both Alice and Bob reach the same plant, the one with more water currently in his or her watering can should water this plant, and if they have the same amount of water then Alice should water this plant. So we need to return the number of times they have to refill to water all the plants. Okay, that was a good question. Let's try to see what the question says. Let's say we have plant and they need amount of water. First is 2, second is 2, then 3, then 3. Okay, this is the amount of water that they needed. Now the next part, the capacity of A, which is the capacity of Alice in current case is 5, and the capacity of B, which is the capacity of Bob current, is again 5. Let me just adjust them. Okay, now let's try. We know one thing. Okay, Alice is starting from here, so let's call this as L. Let's call this as L. And Bob is starting from the very last index. Let's call this as H. Now we know the capacity of Alice is 5. So for the first time, when Alice pours the plant, then capacity becomes 5 minus 2. That means now the capacity remains as 3. And at the same time, simultaneously, the Bob should also water this plant, and the Bob has a capacity of again 5. So when he waters the plant, then he waters 3 amount. That means the capacity of Bob becomes 2. Now let's move it from here to the next index, and let's move this H from here to here. Now the capacity of Alice is 3 and it needs 2 amount of water. That means yes, we can easily water this plant. 3 minus 2 is equals to 1. Okay. The job is done by Alice. Now, but you can see here the capacity of Bob is only 2, but it needs 3 amount of water. That means we need to refill this can. And if we refill, we should we have a counter. Let's call this as CNT, which is initially 0. Now we are refilling our can. So in that case, it becomes 1. In that case, it becomes 1. Now, when we refill this can, it again becomes 5. Now we have a capacity of 5, and this water needs 3 amount. So we can just do 3. So we have 2. Okay, done. Now from left to right, Alice has done her job and Bob has done his job. All of the plant gets water and our counter is 1. So simply we will return our count as 1. You can see here 1 is the answer. Let's try to code this so that we can get a better idea. The very first thing I always say is store the length in a variable n. Now we know one thing, we need a counter in a count variable which is initializing from 0. Now the next part, we know we need capacity. So let's try to store this capacity in a variable t1 and this capacity in a variable t2. Now why I am storing, you will get to know after we when we refill the tank. You will get to know at that time why I am storing this. Now this job is done. The next part, we know we need two variables. First, which is iterating from left to right, and the second, which is iterating from right to left. Now we will be iterating until both met. That means now what will be the first condition? We know one thing, if plants of L, let's say we have a condition K, the plants of L. Okay, let me show you. Let's say we have a capacity 4, 3, 1, 3, and we have a capacity as 3 and capacity 2 again as 3. Now for the first case, if the capacity is 3 but we need to plant 4. Okay, sorry, my mistake. Let's call this as 2 only. In that case we will pour this plant. So we have a capacity of 1. We refill the tank